let's talk about some of these features for these next gen consoles that we have. Let's compare and contrast them a little bit about what is being offered and maybe what we like versus what we don't like with the actual, just the consoles themselves and the system UI, things like that.
Okay.
What do you got? What do you think? Where do you want to start here?
Just like before, let's start with the Xbox since it came out first.
Okay.
So we'll talk about like the dashboard or the UI first, because that's the first thing that stands out to me. I turn the console on and that's what's there. It's unchanged from the Xbox One.
It's a little more rounded, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's really it. It is snappier, which is more of a hardware thing, you know?
It is fast.
Yeah. Because I know with my original, I had the Xbox One X, and I don't know if it was because the Xbox One was originally designed with so much bloat and shit on it that every iteration of the, thanks Don Metric, every version of the Xbox One after that kind of suffered, and maybe they could like kind of start from scratch with this new console. I don't know if that's why, but every Xbox One I've owned has had like a really laggy dashboard.
Absolutely.
You know?
And I like, so it's a little more rounded, so it's a little cleaner looking. They added now the animated backgrounds to the actual dashboard themselves, so there's no themes yet. I mean, for either console, but specifically for Xbox, there's no themes yet besides just changing the color. But they have animated backgrounds, and they seem to have integrated like the store and the My Games and Apps thing into the actual overall system UI rather than maybe being separate apps. I mean, maybe they are still separate apps, but it runs and is really snappy, like it's very seamless.
Yeah. That's all I have to say about the Xbox. Do you want to talk about the PlayStation now to compare, or do you want to just keep running down the Xbox features?
Let's just run through the Xbox first, and then we'll swap over.
Okay.
I guess. So I mean, that's the dashboard, the UI, all the user interface, all that's unchanged.
Yep.
But really, where the next gen, I guess, experiences with the Xbox is the load times.
Yep.
With games, and
power.
obviously the visual fidelity and the power. But I mean, you load. There's no load times. Essentially, they're basically non-existent.
That's right. The games just literally load. Like, we were talking about Doom earlier, Doom Eternal. Like that game just loads so quickly. I was talking about a backwards compatible title, Sonic Generations. It's just so quick and so snappy.
Yeah.
You know.
And then you look at a game like Assassin's Creed, which is open world, huge game. I mean, instantaneously it loads. And the other cool thing that I tried is the quick resume, which, full disclosure, I did have it crash a couple of times, or games crashed when I tried to use that feature. I know it's something that they'll update and work out. So for example, I had Doom Eternal and Assassin's Creed Valhalla running at the same time, right? I was in Doom Eternal. Okay, playing it, finished the level. I was like, cool, just going to stop here, put it on pause, open up the menu, switched over to Valhalla. I was back in the open world in Valhalla within 2 seconds.
That's nuts.
Mean, to go from one game to a completely different open world game, mind you, instantaneously is really insane. And when I mean instantaneous, I mean it's like immediate. I think it takes longer for my TV. My TV has I have the LG thing, so it has that like auto game detect thing or whatever. Yeah. I think it takes longer for my TV to do that auto game response than it does for the actual console to switch over the game itself.
Wow.
Which is insane. So
that's crazy.
But I mean, that's really it for Xbox though, as far as like the features and things like that. It's not, listen, it's an Xbox. There's no real changes to the user experience besides speed and visual fidelity. And that's it.
Yeah, so the controller got one little update. That's it. The D-pad.
Yeah, the controller feels nice. It has the new D-pad on it, which I do like. It's quick and crisp. It has a little bit maybe like a refined grip on the actual controller itself.
I agree.
Than the previous controller, and the finish feels a little bit different.
It feels good, grippy.
But yeah, it feels very good. Like even if your hands are sweating, that stuff that is not gonna fling out of your hands at all.
Yeah.
It's good. And then so I mentioned it in the unboxing that I did, but I'm curious to get your thoughts. To me, it feels like the controller is just a tiny bit smaller. Like it feels just a little bit smaller in my hands. Like my hands fit around it a little bit more. Do you feel the same way, or am I just insane? Do you think?
I didn't play it enough to notice a difference, but I'll have to check that out. I still have my Xbox One.
Okay. You
Yeah.
compare it and look at. I feel like the triggers might be a little bit different too, just the way that they're formed. Check that out and let me know because I'm actually curious.
Okay.
Because maybe I'm just insane, but
Well, it's possible.
all right. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this next gen stuff, and that's the PlayStation 5.
Yep.
Okay. Let's start with the. How about just the boot up and the dashboard like we did for Xbox? What are your thoughts?
It's a completely new dashboard. It's a completely new experience. I think that the way they separated the games and the media apps is done really well. At the top left, I think it is. It actually has like another menu where it's like games, media. And I think that's nice because it doesn't clutter your screen with all these stupid entertainment apps that you're never going to use.
Right.
So that's nice. It keeps it clean. I'm still getting used to what is the thing that pops up from the bottom called on PlayStation? Do you know what that's called?
The tray? I don't know.
That thing. I'm still getting used to it.
Same.
It seems like that's almost like, on the PlayStation 4 when you hold the PlayStation button down and the little menu pops up from the side and it has all those things. It's that, right?
Right. Just a little bit different. Yeah.
Yeah. I do like the cards. I didn't think I was going to like the cards. The things that are on that menu, the cards as little squares or rectangles. I do like those. And you and I both talked about how useful they were in Astro's Playroom, getting all the challenges completed.
Yeah.
Being able to just click play or resume, or I forget what the button said, but you could literally just jump right to that spot in the game. It would literally like fast travel you there. And then it has a little tip. I know you said yours weren't working, but there's a little video that plays and it shows you exactly how to finish the level, or the challenge.
Yeah.
So.
And I feel like in general with the PlayStation, there was a lot of things that they showcased where I was like, that's cool. I'm probably not going to use it at all though.
Yeah.
And then you get into doing it and you're like, all right, let me try it out. And you're like, oh shit, this is actually like really useful and very cool. But I also, going back to the dashboard for a second, I love that they integrated the store into the actual dashboard itself.
Oh, into the OS, it's so nice.
Yeah, because similar to how the Xbox OS was slow, the PlayStation 4 OS was abysmal sometimes when it was loading. Things wouldn't show up. You'd have to launch the store. It takes like fucking forever to load. I mean, even going to like your settings and things like that took forever on the PlayStation 4. So they've kind of streamlined and integrated all of it now.
Absolutely. And I do want to like play devil's advocate here because it is nice and it's sleek and it's modern and it's clean looking as well. However, it's kind of bare bones, and I don't know if that's because there's not a lot of PS5 games out, but it's backwards compatible with PS4. That's, you know what I mean? So like there's a lot of things you could download and buy on the PlayStation 5, and I feel like their store is just kind of bare bones right now.
Yeah, for sure. And I think to the detriment of both consoles as far as from a customization standpoint, neither supports themes right now, which seems less odd for the Xbox, but really odd for the PlayStation 5 since that was a really big part of the PS4 experience. And thinking back to the last generation, I don't know if PS4 had themes at launch. I don't remember. But I guess I could get maybe why the PS5 doesn't have them at launch. Whatever game you're on kind of changes the theme, which is cool. Like it's visually like pleasing. It's, it's nice, clean to look at. But to me, that seems a little strange that there's no themes or anything for the PlayStation 5 specifically. I'm sure they'll add it, but same thing with not being able to put your games into folders like you could on PS4, which was not a feature at the launch of the PS4 and something they added, but it seems weird to have had that and now go back to not having it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems as if the PS5's whole interface was designed with themes not in mind.
Yeah.
I don't think they really... honestly, I don't know if we ever will see themes. The Switch has been out for several years, and we thought that was going to have themes, and all they have is the white one and the dark one. So,
yeah, I mean, listen, it's not a huge deal. It's just like a little customization thing.
oh yeah, listen, I love themes because the music, it would change the whole music of the dashboard. But it seems like with the PS5, like you said, the themes are basically just the game. When you hover over the game, the whole thing changes. The music plays. So I
Yeah,
think that just might be what they're going to be doing, which kind of
it's
sucks. But
fine. And it also seems like they really want you to use the library system tray type thing for your games more so instead. Which, by the way, it's nice that they added that you can sort it between what's downloaded. You can sort, between the different types of games that you have, your PlayStation Plus games, all of that
yep.
stuff. And the fact that, like the Xbox, when you plug in an external hard drive, it just reads it immediately and organizes it for you, which is nice.
Very nice. All right, what else?
Going back, so that system tray thing again, we talked about the activities, which are great. I have two issues with the system tray stuff.
What's that?
One is the way that the trophies come up. I wish, so they have a couple of trophies right on the bottom, and it seems like to me it is the trophies that you're either A, closest to completing, or B, are relevant to the part in the game that you are at.
The level or something, yeah.
Right. It seems like that's what it populates with. I would like it if they had something in that system tray where I could view all the trophies for the game so I don't have to go out of the game to look at the trophies and then come back to it. Right.
So
I want to be able to pull up all of them.
that's actually one of my complaints about it is that you can customize that icon, the row of icons there, but you cannot add a trophy one.
Right. Which is the first thing I looked for, actually.
Yeah, you have to like. I actually have a hard time finding the trophies. You have to like go back to the actual dashboard and like go to your profile.
You can click on your profile in the bottom. You can add your profile to the bottom and then click on it, and then it'll have trophies on there. But it still takes you completely out of it.
Yeah, I don't like that.
So I wish, and maybe they'll add it, but I really wish they had it on the bottom there.
Yeah.
So I could do that. The other thing I don't like is the game-based thing.
Yeah, what is that?
So they have incorporated, so there is a whole separate screen for your friends and things like that.
Oh,
There's
you're right.
a separate
That's
party
what
screen.
it is.
But the game base has parties that you've been in, recent parties, and then all the way at the bottom of it, it has the friends that are online.
Yeah.
First of all, if you want to incorporate those together, fine. Can we switch them, please?
Yeah.
And like, can we remove all of the parties I've been a part of? Get that the fuck out of here. I don't want that. It's like almost like a Discord feature. I'm like, I don't want that on here, please.
It like creates a room instead of like a party chat. Because what happened was you were online and I wanted to chat with you. I don't even know if you knew I did this. I joined a chat between me, you, and Christian because I clicked on it.
I did know that you did that.
And I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
It didn't invite you guys, I don't think.
No, it just notified me that you were in there.
It's so fucking
And then I went and joined it, and I was like, oh, I guess he wants to chat, and you weren't in there, and I was like, all right, he was confused like I was, because I did the same thing. I did the same thing when I got it, and Christian did the same thing because him and I jumped into a party, that party with all three of us when he got the console, and it's just I don't like that. That needs to be overhauled. It's a little confusing and it's not super user friendly.
Yeah, we either have to get used to it or they have to overhaul it. I don't know what's gonna come first, but
I'm assuming we're probably just gonna have to get used to it, but that's fine.
Yeah.
But besides that, I mean, I don't really have an issue with anything else. It's super snappy. That SSD is fucking doing all the work.
Yeah. Super quick, just like the Xbox.
Yeah, it's great. And the load times are non-existent. I actually want to say that my load times are a little bit quicker on the PS5 than they have been on the Xbox. From my experience.
Well, that could also
but I'm also playing PS5 games.
Exactly.
And Xbox ain't got games, so I'm playing,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
100%. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah. So they might not, the games I'm playing on Xbox probably are not optimized.
Yeah. Not a UI feature or like a console feature, but the controller, the DualSense itself.
Yes.
You mentioned it at the top of the pod. We talked about how awesome it was, but I just can't, stress enough how cool the DualSense is. It's so cool.
Yeah. I mean that is the DualSense is the most next gen feeling thing about that console. And I want to compare and contrast a little bit more between the two of them and saying like the Xbox is great. It is powerful. No doubt about it. The Series X is a powerful console. But the Series X feels much like a step up, right? An upgrade, whereas the PlayStation 5 feels like a next generation.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
And there's multiple reasons why that's the case. Number one, the OS is completely different on the PS5, whereas the Xbox, it's the same. Also, the games, they didn't give us any next gen games at launch that actually
Right.
make you feel like you're playing a next gen console.
Right.
At least exclusive ones.
Right.
PlayStation, they put Astro's Playroom on there. We mentioned this
Right.
earlier when we were talking privately on PlayStation. Astro's Playroom is a great showcase of what the console can do. And why couldn't
the
Xbox?
killer app. It's
Yeah.
a killer app.
Why couldn't Xbox make a game like that? A little demo, you know? They
Yeah.
have so many franchises and properties they own that they could do that. They have Gears, they have Halo, they have all of the Rare properties. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like they have so
could've
much
done
they
something.
can work with.
They should have done something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that controller is the beginning and end of the argument for next gen. I mean, it is, and all of these people that are like, you shouldn't be buying a PS5 right now, or like or they're saying that the controller is a gimmick. If you
hate
think
that.
the controller and the triggers are a gimmick, you haven't fucking used the controller.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not a gimmick. You know what was a gimmick that was something similar, but not nearly as advanced, but something similar? Was the fucking Joy-Cons on the Switch.
Yeah.
That HD Rumble is a gimmick.
No one no one uses it. In any
No
other
one
games,
uses
really.
it. No one uses it. Every single game that is a PS5 launch title has some sort of utilization of the specifics in that controller.
Yeah.
I mean, Astro's Playroom is... You want an argument for why developers should use the controller? That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, Spider-Man, you feel the subway, the electricity, the fucking adaptive triggers with the web slinging, and feeling that tension. And then when you let go as Spider-Man, you feel the trigger release.
Yep.
It is something that eventually we will come to not think about. We will just expect, and then when we don't have it, we'll realize that it's not there.
Exactly. And this reminds me of when Xbox One launched with the vibration triggers. I forget what they were called.
Right.
You know?
Which are great, and I loved, especially for shooters.
Exactly. This is that, but on crack. It actually feels like there's motors inside the triggers that you'll try to push them down and it'll stop you, and you actually have to push a little bit harder. You know?
Yeah. The first time where I was like, oh shit, with the triggers specifically, I mean, Astro's Playroom, you jump in, you feel his little feet dinking on the metal, and you could feel that in the controller, which is so cool.
Yeah.
But that first, like one of those first levels in Astro's Playroom is when you have the spring thing, the bouncy thing, the frog suit or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Dude, I pushed those in with the springs, and I was like, holy shit.
Yep.
Like, that is fucking nuts. And the first time I tried to press it down, I was like, why isn't it pressing down? I was like, oh, I'm not putting enough pressure on this trigger. That's why it's not pressing down. It's nuts. It's fucking nuts.
So there's two for me that I thought were pretty crazy. So my first experience in Astro's Playroom with the triggers was actually the rocket one where you have to like hold both triggers down. And the rocket shoots up.
Yeah. I didn't do that one till last.
I held them in a little bit, and like the rocket, like you could see it like starting to go, but to actually launch, you have to like push it down. I thought that was really cool. And then the part where you're in the monkey suit,
Yes.
they didn't use this very much, but
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
yeah, there were certain rocks where if you held onto it, it would break. So you have to like very gently push it down, and like then you'd be able to like hold onto the rock.
Dude, it took me way longer than I'd like to admit to realize that. I was
Yeah.
like, why does it keep fucking breaking? And I was like, oh.
You got to be gentle.
After like 20 minutes, I was like, I have to just touch it really lightly.
Yeah, it was really cool. That was like a oh shit moment, you know?
Yeah. I just really hope developers, and again, like the launch titles, I think Demon Souls is probably the worst at it, but there's some interesting vibration stuff that they do.
Well, hold on. I want to say something. When that game was reviewed, people were saying like, oh, you can actually feel the different types of surfaces your sword hits. And like, I don't fucking get that at all.
No.
That's
I feel like-
bullshit.
I feel like that game, first of all, they might update it, for more controller support stuff, because I know there was a great Digital Foundry interview with those devs, and they're like, there was a lot of stuff that we wanted to do with like the new hardware, but we had to scrap to deliver the game at launch. So it seems like obviously they didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
'cause
But
they needed to be a launch
whoever
game.
said that shit, you can feel the monster's flesh. You can feel the brick wall. No, you can't.
Fuck. No, you can't. So I think that game does the controller a disservice,
Yeah.
if you will. But stuff like Astro's Playroom, fucking even Bug Snacks, and Spider-Man. I mean, as long as there is buy-in from devs, and I think it'll probably obviously be more so from first-party devs, which makes sense. As long as there's buy-ins from devs, I am so excited to play games with that controller.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to play games like fucking Rocket League and fucking Apex, which we know it's not going to be that different, but
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, I'm just excited to play it with that.
Yeah. And I want to play a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
With those.
Which Call of Duty is out, and it does have features with it, but we just haven't played it yet.
I don't want to buy that game right now.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching our video. Did you know it's part of a larger podcast called Hapticast? You can check it out by clicking here, or maybe here, or maybe here. Make sure you like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.